Well, there's that cool intro music, and I guess that means it's time for another podcast here from the Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions. My name is Darren Brown. I am the senior content here at Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions. Thank you all for joining us, and I'd like to thank you lovely ladies for being here.
Yes.
Hello,
Thanks for
hello.
having us.
All right. Well, we're here to talk today about the Cheyenne and Arapaho Department of Education's higher education program. Now, you just say that, and people could say, what does that mean? I'm like, well, that's what we're here to explain it all about, because there's a bunch of stuff you guys do. And so the first thing I'd like to start with is we'll go around the table. You ladies introduce yourselves.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Brianna Ferris. I am the director of the Higher Education Scholarship Program. I've been here for almost a year now. I am a citizen of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes and also a current student on the program.
I'm Emily Chavez. I'm the program coordinator for the Higher Education Scholarship Program, and I am also Cheyenne and Arapaho, and I have been in higher ed for going on 8 years now.
Hello, my name is Morgan Bullcoming, and I'm the high school student support advisor. And I'm Cheyenne Arapaho, and I've been on the program and completed the program and graduated with my degree. So,
All right. And the great thing is I know you ladies. I've talked to you here and there, and this is the if you work at a program like this, you have to have you got to have a heart for this. You got to have you got to want for these kids. And I know that I've been guilty of. We have people here at the department who they're working on different certifications, and then there's people working on their masters, people working on their doctorates, and I've been guilty of sometimes in my own family and extended family, and people say, "Oh, you're going to so and so's graduation." I'm like, we have to go. It's just a high school graduation. Then I think, oh, I can't say that. My gosh, it's nothing is ever. A degree is not just a degree, and nothing's just a graduation. I mean, I guess for some kids, maybe high school graduation could be their first one in their family. And I know that in me, just with my bachelor's, I mean, I was the first my mother had 10 brothers and sisters. No, 11, I'm sorry. So me and my cousins, that generation, we were like the first ones in that big family to get college degrees. So I know it's the same out here. So Brianna, we'll start with you. It's like it's a very, very important thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you put it into perspective, these kids, especially, our students graduating from high school, they've spent their whole lives working towards that, essentially, minimum 13 years to get to their high school graduation. And so something as simple as a high school graduation, we see as, one of the biggest cornerstones of their life, one of their biggest life achievements. And we want to, advocate for them so that they know we understand how much work it took. And even though it's, just part of their routine growing up, like it is an incredible amount of work. And we want to always, let them know how proud of them we are for that.
But let them know, hey, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Emily, you tell us kind of what you have to do with graduations and things with our kids.
Yeah, in the program, like what we do and stuff. So each year we host a graduation banquet, and that's for all of our high school and college grads. So we make it's our biggest event of the year because we think it's important to celebrate them. Usually, we find a place like we've been having at the Respect Gym, and we welcome them to bring their families,
and they do.
yes, they load up and they eat. So, and then we feed their families. We have a slideshow going up of their pictures and their names and the college graduates with their degrees that they have received or will be receiving. High school graduates, we also give them $150 at the banquet. And then college grads, we give them a degree incentive once they have officially graduated, but we just make it a fun and special night and get lots of pictures and celebrate.
Yeah, it's hard for me to remember high school graduation. And once someone asked me, if you had a chance, would you go back? I'm like, maybe like a couple days.
Days.
But not one of those days where I flunked the test and had really bad acne,
Yeah.
My girlfriend broke up with me. Not one of those days.
Yeah.
One of the good days, man.
Yeah.
Morgan, so you work with high school students now. Tell me how that came about and what's your title and kind of what you do.
Okay, yeah, so I'm not the high school student support advisor. So we just started this in January. So that's when I started. So this is my first time working in higher education. And I think this is a good way of trying to network with the schools and the counselors, trying to get our information of the assistance that we offer for high school students, because sometimes they don't know what we offer. So it's
And their parents may not know.
yeah, exactly. And so I've been trying to network with the counselors and trying to get with students to have them hey, this is money that to help you in certain aspects that could help pay for, to further your education and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's a good way to for the students to know about all the assistance that we offer.
And I think, over the years, like I said, it's for me, and I'm not going to, you guys are nearly as old as I am, but I know, but I'm saying, I did, when you're in 8th or 9th grade, you don't realize that colleges are already looking at your grades.
Right.
I mean, you think about that when you're a senior and maybe when you're a junior, but no one is really thinking. But these days, I mean, kids they're more aware of that, and I think with programs like what we have here, and the schools themselves, they say no. I mean, if you're 9th grade is high. When I was in high school, 9th grade was still junior high where I went, but still. In 9th grade, no, this is when stuff starts. This is when your grades start to matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to go and have fun and enjoy being a kid. But there's a time that you really got to buckle down and start making the grades. Do you find that's something that, I know that you're still early in the program, but is that something that you guys have to do, or do you find that those kids already understand that?
Not all of them. There's
Yeah.
some that, that we asked if the simple thing is an ACT. Most colleges require that. And not a lot of students have taken that or even know that we can help pay for that for them. And so that's another thing, we do want them to start thinking about the future. If it's not going to college, there's VOTEX or trade schools. We can, if whatever they need help with, they can ask questions and we can try to point them in the right direction. And if it's not with our program, then with the Dreams program or that assist with any type of education that they want to continue.
Brianna, what do you see as well, I mean, I won't say the main thing because you got so many things going on. What is, I guess what is the main thing that you have to make high school students and those about to graduate understand about higher ed?
Yeah, so Morgan's, Morgan's a perfect example, of why we wanted to have this position. So previously, we only really worked with juniors and seniors. But because of what you just said, a lot of times once they're juniors and seniors, it's already a little bit too late for some of them.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
For some, it is. I mean, but that doesn't mean that you still can't make
doesn't mean we give
something
up on
happen.
them.
That's
It
right.
doesn't mean we give up on them whatsoever.
Thank you for saying that.
But with that in mind, we really want to start reaching kids sooner. So we already have people here in education that work with younger students. So we really want to tap into that, especially the middle school age, so we can prepare them for high school and give them, a pathway that they can follow. When you get into high school, your grades matter. Colleges are going to look at your grades all the way back to 9th grade. These are the steps you need to take to apply for Oklahoma's Promise. This is the step you need to take an ACT or an SAT. This is when you should start applying for scholarships. This is when you should start applying for admissions. So we really want to tap into that, especially with high school students, starting to work with them earlier, and even down to middle school students, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Those dates you're throwing out, that's just to hear talking, I'm like, that's like 5-6 things.
Mm-hmm.
And as a teenager, I'm like, well, I wouldn't remember any of that. Do you find, and I know that see, this will lead off all to a whole different discussion, but when you talk about smaller populations like tribes are in general, things affect a smaller things are proportionately so as I was talking, these kids may be the first definitely in their families to be accepted and attend a university, but as far as high school goes, I mean, the truth is, we have families, adults and parents who maybe never finished high school. So, with that in mind, they may not know all about ACT or SAT or what a FAFSA is.
Yeah.
Man, I what I mean is, I mean, I know you understand is, like, how can you expect that some of these kids to know if their parents may not know, and then how do you work that?
So I think it's important to consider that we cannot meet students' educational needs without, meeting their basic needs as humans, right? And so as much as we want them to go to college, we know we can't get them there without, making sure they get through high school. And they can't get through high school if, they don't have basic food, shelter, water. And so we understand that. And while we can't solve all those problems for them, we also don't hold it against students or families if that's not, in their regular knowledge. A lot of our people are trying to survive, and that's important. That's a whole different ballgame than people whose parents have gone to college, graduated, and they've had a 2-parent home. So we never try to hold that against a student. We never look down on a student or their families for not having that knowledge. It's just part of the adjustment we have to make.
That's what I mean. I
Students.
suppose that you have to do a lot of education with the parents
Right.
themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing you all play a part in that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, when I'm talking to students and parents, like, I kind of take it, like, I already assume, like, they don't know the language in, like, higher education. So I
And
try
it
to,
is.
Yeah.
It's a language.
It
There's
really
a
is.
lot of abbreviations of what's it called?
Yeah.
FAFSA, FNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know that. You
Yeah.
can't just go tossing those out.
Right.
Right,
Mhm.
because I think those are scary words to kids. And once they hear those, they just kind of, like, back out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. So I'm not going to.
Cohort scares me.
Cohort.
People throw cohort around and silo.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so you find yourselves, I mean, I'm guessing all of you, not educating not just the student, but the parents as well, right?
For sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big part of what we do, especially with high school students. Most events we have for high school students, families are invited as well. We just recently had a family FAFSA night where we invited, students and their families to come to Redlands and just learn some about FAFSA. So most of what we do for our high school students is family involved.
I just wanted to hear you say FAFSA one more time.
FAFSA.
And you know what? It took me a long time. I had to go look it up, and I still forgot. What does it stand for?
Free
Free
application for
federal
federal student aid. Yeah.
I knew one of you knew it. And well, that's a scary thing because it involves, you have to have some parental info for that, right?
Yes, until you're 24.
And that's a thing where you have to. I know it's. I've done it before with my kids. That it's like, yeah, you can't just toss that to a kid and go, here, take this home, get it signed.
Yeah.
It's there's. I mean, you have to say we need this and this, and so I know I've seen you guys in action, and I know you guys do great work. With the new program, how is this with bringing working with younger kids, 9th and 8th or whatever? Has that changed the way? I know it's only been a short time, but has that changed the way you guys have to work things, or do you find yourselves all more? It just adds more work, I'm sure, but that's a good thing. How has it changed what you guys do?
I would say it's been really positive. We really, hit a home run with getting Morgan as a staff member on our team. She's super proactive, and, she has her area covered. But also, she can jump in at any moment to help our college student support advisors, and it really is just such a pleasure to watch our team work together. And so for me, it's just, even though I started in January, I worked in higher education previously, and I've been a long-term student on the program. It's just a pleasure to see how we're growing and knowing that there's just so much more growth to be had.
Absolutely.
To make
Absolutely.
more positive changes. And, Emily's been here for so long, so she probably...
Yeah. I mean, before this year, it was just four of us, me and our other college advisor, and then we had our admin assistant and data entry clerk. We didn't have a director, coordinator. but we were in the process of doing that. But once these girls came, I have a whole different mindset for the program now, and just like everything has changed in a positive way in how we're growing.
I remember not long ago, a bunch of you, when Wanda was here, it's like I wanted to go back to see her, and it seemed like there was 15 people crammed in that office.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you guys even work in here, man?
Yeah.
And everybody, let's just give it up to Wanda real quick. And she was here for a long time, and I know that I'm guessing. Do you guys? We were just discussing that this higher ed program was probably, I'm guessing, one of the first programs once the education department here was established, and that was way back with Mr. Quentin Romano's, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we don't know the exact date, but I mean,
We assume like 30 years,
Yeah.
20, 30 years.
And that's
Yeah.
not that long.
It's
Just
really
think of
not.
all the strides we've made.
right.
Yeah.
And let me ask you: Does Quentin stop in and talk to you guys, or is he like the when he comes in, do you guys like bow down?
No, I think he would hate that, but
But I know he's been in education like all his
Yeah,
career, and
and I, as
he's the man.
as a kid growing up in Watonga, Quentin kept us all in line, and a lot of us kids from Watonga really attribute a lot of our success to Quentin, making sure we were in school, and just like Dylan would taking like 30, 40 kids on these bus rides to all these different events across Oklahoma. That's what we really attribute a lot of our success as Watonga folks to Quentin. And, same with Wanda. She was my supervisor, when I was first starting out after
I guess we
graduating
should
with
say her
my
last name. I
bachelor's.
never did. Wanda
Oh,
Whiteman.
Wanda Whiteman.
In case you guys,
The
in case
Wanda
you didn't
Whiteman.
know, I don't know how
Yeah.
you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
But
the
I'm
Wanda
sorry.
Whiteman. Yeah, and so we all consider Wanda family.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so she is just, she's just a joy to be around. I love running into her. She would take care of us when we worked for her. She'd have breakfast for us every morning. I'm talking like skillet bread.
Skillet bread, hey.
Eggs, bacon, fried potatoes.
Gravy.
Yeah, she took care of us. So, yeah,
Somebody go get me a menu real quick.
yeah, we appreciate them beyond words. And, they're both always invited to our events.
Yes.
They don't have to have an invitation. They know they're welcome. They're always going to be our honorary guest, just like Dr. Mann.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All of them. They're always welcome at our events, and we're just so grateful for them.
How lucky are we to have someone like Henrietta Mann, an older who's world famous, literally, and who's still around to help and guide. I tell folks, man, you can't be around here for 5 minutes without learning something. It just stops standing next to her. It's amazing. Anyway, well, we could talk about her forever. That's a whole other show. Where was I going? Oh, scholarships.
Yes.
Yeah, there are so many, and I don't expect you to name off every. No, I want you to name off everyone right now. No, they're like we were saying that if the kids don't know, then the parents certainly don't know, and let's talk about the counselors. Native American counselors in these schools, they may especially if they're non-native or if they're not from this tribe, they may not know either.
Right.
There's a whole lot of education going on that end,
Right.
from your spot.
Yeah. So, as far as the counselors at other schools that Morgan visits and makes contact with, we do have a handful that are like tribal members, and so they are familiar with our program. But I would say the majority of the counselors aren't very familiar what we offer, because they do ask every year. And now that we have Morgan to, stay in touch with them and keep them updated, I think that's going to make a big difference in their knowledge, and they'll know what we offer to the kids.
And I guess how many do you guys know how many schools you kind of serve in the service area?
We made a list. Do you remember?
I think
No,
it's
I want the
about-
answer right now. I want everyone.
I think it's like 16 or 18 schools
Yeah.
that we have in the district.
Okay, that sounds about right.
But then I also get in contact with schools that aren't really in the district that are like more south, and they have students that are Cheyenne and Arapaho,
Yeah.
and they'll reach out.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was thinking about that. So I guess what I'm still unclear on is obviously we provide and we help Cheyenne and Arapaho tribal citizens. How does this work? do we service other tribes, or is it only, let's say, but I know that we have kids come to the high school
Yeah.
graduation banquet who are from different states, and I'm like, that's amazing. They came
Yeah.
here. They thought it was important enough to come here
Mm-hmm.
and visit, get back in Cheyenne and Arapaho country from other states.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I would say we're seeing more of that because, the blood quantum has changed and the new enrollees, they're eligible to receive assistance from our program because we do only assist Cheyenne and Arapaho tribal citizens.
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to
Right.
I wanted to make that clear in case, because there are I can't speak. There are other tribal programs who do cross those lines, and I just
Right.
wanted to kind of make that clear. That's what we're talking Cheyenne and Arapaho
Mhm.
tribal citizens. But man, we have kids from all over.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
everywhere.
and it's amazing to see them and their families
Yeah.
at those banquets.
I actually, a fun story to tell, which is a college student. This was 2 years ago. I had a student call me who has applied for our program, and I could tell that she was kind of having trouble speaking, and she had an accent. And sure enough, she just came from Mexico, and she moved in with her dad who lives here in the U.S. And I was like, you know what? Can I call you later tonight? And she was like, yeah. I was like, my husband is fluent in Spanish, and it just might be better, to translate that way. And sure enough, when I got home and he sat down with me and we were on speaker, and we were able to connect, and I was able to get the points across, about our program that she needed to know, because she didn't understand really, the lingo and the language of what I was saying, because she, thought Spanish was her first language and she was still learning English.
But she was still a tribal citizen.
Yeah. She was actually born here in the U.S., she said, and then she moved with her mom to Mexico and lived there her whole life, and then she came back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great story.
Yeah, I know.
And who knows how many other stories like that. I mean, maybe we got CNA kids living in New Zealand or something.
Oh, yeah.
We don't, but Germany,
Germany.
the UK, we have tribal citizens in Thailand.
And they know about you guys.
Well, I don't know. That's
Well,
from my
we
knowledge.
we should make that happen. I
Yeah.
mean, if
Yeah.
you guys are listening.
I know we have one in China. I've met some a parent from China. Yeah,
Wow.
for sure. Yeah.
Well, so the high school program, did you have a name for that program? Was it just
No.
called the high school
It's just part of our
initiative? I had to go with that, initiative.
initiative. Yeah, it's just part of our higher education scholarship program. Like I was saying before, we know we can't get them to higher ed if we don't get them
Yeah,
through high school
yeah.
first. So yeah, just Morgan is our high school student support advisor.
And do you see that growing? How do you see your department growing?
I would love to have,
Another
We
15
have a
people.
lot of ideas.
yeah, we have a lot of ideas. We would love to have our own facility with our own computer.
Hey, join the club,
labs.
baby.
Yeah, so, yeah. The wish list is big.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a need. There's always a need for
Yeah.
stuff
Right.
like that.
And just with those 16 or 18 schools, we're talking about hundreds of kids. We probably this was by far one of our busiest semesters, I feel like, this year with our college students.
It's growing.
It's growing, yeah. We probably had at least 200 kids on our scholarship program this semester, and that's college students. And so we have 2 college student support advisors that are taking care of all of those
okay.
applications.
Okay.
So,
You have 2. I didn't realize that.
yeah, so we have Jay Olson. She also started in January. She is not a tribal member, but man, is she a good worker. And she's Osage and Sac and Fox and Pawnee. And so we're just really happy to have her. I actually stole her from enrollment when I moved over from enrollment. And then our other one, called Student Support Advisor, is vacant right now. So Emily's taking over that. So we're looking at hiring somebody very soon.
Oh, okay. Get the word out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
My next question is I had it right here, but then you started talking. I said, "Oh, that's great." I said, there's other things you want to do, but I said, "Well, what's your wish list?
Mhm.
Let's hear it. Just think of me as Santa Claus."
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, all we got to do is look at our strategic plan. One of our biggest things is we want to have a very strategic, comprehensive partnerships with institutions, especially our top 5 attended institutions. And that takes a lot of work. It was kind of something I was a little naive about. I thought I would have it done by now. But anyways, that's our big thing. Again, we know that we can't serve students just by handing them a check, right? And saying, turn in
Good
your
luck.
paperwork. Yeah. So, and that's what my background is. My background's in student affairs. All my graduate coursework is in student affairs. That's what I worked in at OU as a student affairs professional. And the cornerstone of that is understanding that students are whole people.
And they're all different.
And they're all very different. They're all coming from very different walks of life.
Yeah.
And so it's all about understanding human development, basically. So I always tell people I don't have a teaching degree, I have a people degree. And so really getting to understand that part, like that's what my biggest wish is, being able to train our staff as student affairs professionals. So we are, this kind of student affairs adjacent profession that's, really recognized for all the work that we do with our students. And I mean, what a blessing to be able to just focus on Cheyenne and Arapaho students as well. And it, like I said, it's just such a joy to me to be able to do what we do.
Yeah. You mentioned now I think of actually the question I was going to ask, because you brought it up, and then I thought I'll ask you this. We're in a pretty good geographical spot here. Because Redlands Junior College is just right down the road, but Southwestern State University is really pretty close too, and the University of Oklahoma is not that far away. I guess Oklahoma State is, 2 hours from here? I don't know. It's not. It's what I'm saying. We're pretty centrally located,
Right.
in at least in Oklahoma, and even so, right here we have. Three universities. Oh, well, there's University of Central Oklahoma. So there's basically 4 universities.
And then we have like OCCC and OSU.
Yeah, so all this stuff is right here.
Right, yeah.
How does that all? I mean, like you said, to get like an MOU, which is another. What do you call those, antonyms? No, not antonyms. What do you call those? I can't think of the word.
Oh yeah, I just lost it too.
But what I'm saying is. The MOU is one thing, but I guess that you can't just, hey, you want to sign this thing? Here, sign this. Explain what that is.
Yeah, so MOU is a memorandum of understanding. Usually, it's like an agreement between 2 parties.
A partnership.
Yeah, it's a partnership to work towards something, and we actually did enact an MOU with Redlands recently, surrounding recruitment and. Basically recruitment, I guess you could say. So Redlands is considered a NASNT.
NASNT.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you lost me.
Yeah, so that is a Native American serving non-tribal institution.
Wow.
So that's a special kind of designation institutions can earn if they have a certain population of Native students. And so we have a few in Oklahoma. But, we're really happy that we have Redlands here. And we always consider Redlands and SWASU like our home schools. But as far as our top 5 attended institutions, of course, it kind of changes through the semesters, but it's usually always Redlands, SWASU, OU, Haskell, even them being out of state.
Haskell.
Yeah, it's a big one right now. We have a lot of students at Haskell. And then maybe like OCCC, sometimes OSU, OKC.
Some Rose State.
Rose State, yeah.
We actually have like a lot of incarcerated students that go to Rose State. So
yeah, most of them are in-state besides Haskell.
Yeah, but I mean, we're pretty fortunate to be in this spot where all that stuff is fairly close.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
and if you're talking about scholarships, something like, hey, you can go here, you don't need to go anywhere else. I mean,
right.
you don't want to pay that out-of-state tuition anyway.
Right.
Let's talk about Haskell. You brought that up. I explain for those who may not know. I mean, I really didn't know before I started working here. I didn't know much about Haskell. Where is it? Who is it? What is it?
Yeah, so Haskell Indian Nations University.
Hainu
is in Lawrence, Kansas, and it is a BIE-funded tribal college.
Which is?
Bureau of Indian Education.
Yes.
Yeah, Bureau of
Not to be confused with the BIA.
Yes. And so it's unique in that it's not funded by a particular tribe. It is funded by the Bureau of Indian Education. And it's, there's just so much history with Haskell. It started as like a technical school, I believe. and now it's evolved into a bachelor degree granting institution. And I feel like the CNA Department of Education has a really strong relationship with Haskell, with our executive director being a graduate. We seem to have, quite a few people who have gone to Haskell through their lives. Like some of my older cousins went to Haskell at a point in their lives. So I think students are just seeing it as like a very attainable option where they don't have to go to a predominantly white institution and, be so othered.
And the tuition.
And the
Yes.
tuition.
Talk about that.
The cost of attendance. So usually cost of attendance, that includes tuition, fees, books, transportation, just about all your living expenses. That's what we call the cost of attendance, how much it actually costs to attend a university. Their cost of attendance is so low because of that federal funding and the things that they, can do for our students. And so our scholarship is more than adequate, to pay for those expenses.
Yeah, you must understand that. More than adequate.
Yeah.
And when we talk about Haskell, I guess when we have to talk about what's Fort Lewis. Is that the same type?
No, Fort Lewis is actually it's just a state college.
It's not BIE, right?
It's not BIE.
Okay.
It was so they started as a boarding school as well. Fort Lewis College did.
And they're in Durango, Colorado.
Durango, Colorado. And so they've always had an initiative to have reduced tuition and fees for Native students. That's been part of their mission for forever. So that's why it kind of has that standing in the Native community. I believe the only other funded, BIE-funded tribal school is Sippi. Is that correct?
Which stands for Southwestern Indian Polytechnic?
Institution.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one always gives me
Stump the
trouble.
chump here.
Mm-hmm.
Just stump the chump here in our podcast. No. So I know we've had a couple students that are attending there.
Fort Lewis. Yep.
Sippi?
Yeah.
Fort Lewis.
Yeah.
No, Sippi.
Sippi.
Yeah, we have both.
And explain a little bit about Sippi. Is that a BIE you said?
I think it is.
It is.
Honestly,
They're in New
Sure.
Mexico. They're
they're in
they're in
New
Albuquerque,
Mexico.
correct?
Yes. We haven't had many students at
Yeah.
Sippi. I know I think we have two on
I can
our
think of
program
two right now, yeah.
I wish I could tell you more about Sippi.
Well,
to be honest.
I just bring it up because I know they have a
Right.
large Native population there as
Right.
well, and I know there is some what do you call it? A fairly lower. What do you call it? Cost of education.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
cost
not
of
it's not like
attendance.
going to university. I'm not sure if it's a 2-year.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
2
I should
years.
know these things, but
Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
you
that's
should
your
too.
job.
Things change all the time.
It really does. Yeah.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is there are a lot of options here. There's a lot of things on the menu here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You don't just
Yes.
have to have the pancakes. You can have a
Absolutely.
burger, cheeseburger,
Yeah.
Mhm.
throw some fries. So when you come to so let me ask you this. So I'm a parent.
Mhm.
Thank God my kids are out of high school now. One is still at OU. He's almost
Oh.
finished.
Awesome.
He's almost finished. My other one, she said college is not for me, and we had that conversation. But I said, okay. So she's already in workforce, doing well. So let's say I'm a parent. Let's say I never went to college, and my wife didn't either, and we have graduating senior, and he's got fairly good grades, but he doesn't know anything about scholarship. What do I do? What does he do? Where do we start? Walk me through it.
Morgan, do you?
Who do I call?
Well, if he's graduating, we tell him about the assistance for high school students. What he
I'm sorry. Let me jump in. Would you, if he was in one of these schools that you guys work with, would you be able to? Would you all know identify that student before I made a phone call or anything like that?
depends. Sometimes we get communication from counselors, like they'll let me know certain students, but sometimes.
So it could be that you already know who these kids are. I mean, it could ideally, but not always.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like once Morgan meets them or one of us meets them and we kind of, get the understanding of what they're wanting to do, or if they are interested, then we'd kind of, take their hand and like walk them through like what they need to be doing.
Yeah.
See, that's what people need to know.
Yeah.
I think that, we can throw a bunch of scary words at you. But if you don't know anything, let me teach you. Help me
Right.
help you, like Jerry Maguire said.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
just give us a call,
For the
right?
kids out there, like, let us know that you want to do something, and we can help you get there.
Yeah.
Hey,
And-
if you don't ask, the answer is always
Right.
no.
Yeah. Ask. Yeah.
And
Say-
that's the biggest obstacle a lot of times is just
Really?
getting that.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Let's tell me.
Yeah, I mean,
tell me
it's
about
just
that.
it's just one of those things, and this is for students across the board. Just getting them to ask for help is always the first obstacle.
That's amazing.
And then it can be just you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's so true.
They just might not know the questions to ask, but that's just part of our approach. We kind of start with like the end product. Well, what is it you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? And from there, we can work our way back to the starting points that they should be taking. But usually, our first answer is always going to be, "Have you filled out FAFSA?
Yeah.
Have you
And
signed
they
up for
say,
an
"What?"
ACT?" Yeah.
What does that mean?
And so then we invite them to our events. We, invite them to schedule a one-on-one Zoom session with us, with their parents, so we can talk through it. So, I mean, there's no one pathway, I would say. We just kind of, like I said, start with the end product. What is it that you want? What do you want to do with your life? What do you see yourself doing? What do you enjoy doing?
Yeah. And a lot of the answers from them are like, they don't know.
Exactly. I was there.
So, I mean, if I'm working with them, I would definitely, ask the FAFSA question, the ACT, and then I would suggest community college. You
Yeah.
know, that's what I'd suggest to get started. Dip your toes in the water.
Say that again. Get started. Yeah, I know you've heard me say this before when I've been at graduations. And I tell people, because I heard a preacher friend of mine one time said, "Hey, you got to have a plan." He said, if you're here in Oklahoma and you want to go to LA, you don't jump on the highway and start driving east.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, you can change, plans change, but you got to have a plan to start with.
Right. Yeah.
And you're not going to get a degree by sitting at home playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, somebody.
Yeah.
They
So-
do have esports now
That's
in
true.
colleges.
They do.
But I would hope you have to get up off the couch every now and then.
Right.
But I'm glad you guys brought that up because it's so true. Because we forget what it's like when we were 17, 18.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think back when I went to community college first
I
at
did too.
Redlands. And
that was a
it
Rose
was
State.
because my mom enrolled me, and I swear I didn't understand the whole financial aid process
Same
until I
here.
started working here. You know what I mean? Like I look back and I'm like, that's what that meant. That's why I had to do this, and I'm able to, pass along my knowledge.
Yeah, and this, I think you've heard me say this before. When I graduated high school, I hadn't planned anything.
Yeah.
All my friends are like, "I'm going to OU. I'm going to OSU. Darren, where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know."
Yeah.
And truthfully, back then, Rose State College is a 2-year, and I was there 2.5 years actually. I got an associate's before I transferred to OU, but. And we used to call Oscar Rose, we used to refer to it as 13th grade.
13th grade.
You go there and you see everybody you went to high school
True.
with
That
anyway. I
was me.
said, come on, man. I didn't like these people already. I don't want to see them. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't like that. That is a stigma.
It is.
But the truth is, I remember taking English classes and science and some math at Rose State with 20 people in my class. And then I got to OU and I had I think I had an astronomy class. And I walked into Dale Hall and I'm like, kind of like 300
Hundreds,
people in
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And that's not, I'm not trying to, talk bad about anyone. It's just like, but that's what happens. It's just, these
Yeah.
days it may be less. Maybe you can do it via online or whatever. But I'm just saying, that's a shock. And if you're not ready for that, which let's just be honest, most kids at 17, 18 aren't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
From
not-
small
you're-
towns.
Yeah, you're not going to function properly. Those smaller classes, man, for your basics. If you ask me, that's the way to go.
Absolutely.
For sure. It's cheaper. It's
yeah.
just more. I've seen this in my higher education experience here that we see these, tribal members who end up being valedictorians of their high school or salutatorians, and then they go to
Go to a big university and they're not ready.
and then that first year is just
yeah,
it's a shock.
and you want to tell them, hang on, baby,
Yes.
hang on,
Yes.
just get through this year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they'll do fine. And I've seen it happen, but I've also seen it happen where they want to drop out, and
Yeah.
And I just, oh, come on, you got this.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about when you were that age, I didn't know what financial aid was.
No.
You know what I think, and it's true, I didn't either. It's like Brianna, I'll ask you this. I mean, we all know now as adults, but there's a huge difference that kids don't realize between scholarships and grants and loans. But yeah, let's just hit that for a second.
Yeah, so we get that a lot. So students are always asking, well, what about grants? Because they, kind of have this understanding grants don't need to be paid back. The first thing we always tell them, the only way to apply for grants is with FAFSA. You have to apply for FAFSA to be able to get grants most of the time. And so that's like your Pell Grant. That's always the biggest one. And then any kind of like institutional aid, you have to do that. That's the first step. Grants and scholarships typically don't have to be repaid. You might have things like a loan for service where it's a scholarship they pay for either all of your schooling or a portion of your schooling, and then you have to go back and work for them, like the IHS scholarship.
But it's not like you're paying back the whole thing.
You're not paying back the money.
But with a loan,
yeah, and you're getting paid for your money. I mean, you're
yeah.
getting paid for working once you're working for that organization. So it's a good trade-off. But loans follow you, and to me, it's really predatory the way we sell loans to students. Sometimes it is a sacrifice you have to make to, meet your goals. Sometimes you do have to take out loans. But if we have students that are native, that are doing well in school and have financial need, there's really no reason that they should have to take out loans because there's that many scholarships available. It's a lot of work applying for those scholarships.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. But it's possible, but you have to reapply every year for scholarships usually.
And it gets easier, sort of.
I mean,
you
get more familiar with the process.
That's what I meant, yeah.
And so it is a lot of work, but to me, in the long run, that's so much more worth it than graduating tens of thousands of dollars in debt or sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So that's part of our education initiatives as well, educating the community about those differences and, how loans can really inhibit your life after you graduate, so.
They do follow you.
They follow you. Mm-hmm.
Well, man, I feel like we could go on for another hour or two. Hey, you guys want to? No, I'm kidding.
It feels like it's been like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's go eat at some point. So I kind of like, as we wrap it up here, I'd like to, each one of you give some final thoughts on, things that we missed, or not things we missed, but I just, the things that you wanted people to know about the program. And I don't care where we start here.
I wanted to mention, this podcast, we mainly talked about like kids and going to college traditionally, but the majority of our program is adult students, working adult students. So,
I'm sorry. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to.
That's okay. I didn't even realize the time went by so fast, and I was going to mention that.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, we want to. We're really big into like encouraging adult students to go back and finish their degree.
And it can be scary for them too.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, if not, it's more scary because you have a family. Majority of them have a family to take care of in a whole career, and then adding full-time school, like. It's almost nearly impossible. I wouldn't dare to do it.
I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we see a lot of adult students.
So do you guys have do you have a someone who works in that department?
No, not.
And see, but there's more. There's another growth. You could branch into.
Yeah, in online schooling and traditional schooling, like there's so many different.
Got a lot of options these days.
Things to touch on and.
Yeah, so we call those functional areas in student affairs, and so that's a whole functional area in and of itself. Like we could hire somebody just to do recruiting, right? Which sort of our high school student support advisors doing that for high school students, but I mean we could use that for working adults, and that is part of our strategic plan moving forward as well, focusing on working adults.
Morgan?
I think also too, like social media is a big thing, so we do have the education page. So, I mean, follow like the Facebook and Instagram page because we do announcements, we host our events, people trying to get the word out there, so we want attendance like to be high. You know, if you do have questions, come and ask. You know, that's a big thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, like I said, I think we talked about this already, but I wanted to just throw this out there. Like I told you, my daughter is, straight into the workforce. There's military, there's trade school, there's jumping straight into the workforce, and their college, because college is, as we know, it's not for everyone.
Right.
And what I need you guys to just let people know that, but that's what you're here to help them
Right.
figure those out and let them know that, I understand. I mean, the thing is, there may be kids who are scared to go to college, but they have it in them to do it. But then you also may have kids who want to go to college, but by talking with them that it just,
Yeah.
I mean, not that you would, you think that this may be a better option for you. You may want to check this out.
Right.
I
Well,
mean-
like at our college and career fair that we hosted, we didn't just have colleges there. Like we had also workforce. Did we have military?
we did.
We
Yeah,
tried
someone
to.
from NASA there.
Yeah, from NASA, and somebody from the Secret Service was supposed.
They were
to
so
come,
secret,
but
I
they
never saw them.
Yeah, yeah.
They know Indians can't keep secrets.
Yeah.
But I mean, even though that's not like trade school and VOTech, and that's not really like what we specialize in, but we definitely try to offer a little bit within our events. So those students who
I
college
think,
isn't for them, they have.
but I think the thing, and I guess maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. It's like, but they should still call you.
Yeah, and we can point them in the direction.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Contact person they need to be with. Yeah,
Yeah,
Wow.
we never want to communicate the message that college is the only way. We never want to communicate the message that anything other than college is less than a college degree.
right.
Just like the tribe in general, we want to help improve our tribal members' lives.
There you go.
And
Say that again.
Yeah, we want to help improve their
Woo!
lives.
Say it loud, say it proud, baby.
Yep, that's important to us. And so whether that, is college or not, we want to help point them in the direction. And, even though our scholarship program is only for tribal students, we are kind of taking more steps to reach more students. So like our college and career fair, that was open to everybody, tribal, non-tribal, non-native even. And so those are opportunities we want to provide for everybody because, we live in Western Oklahoma. We want to see our communities improve, whether they're native or not. So,
Wow. Couldn't have said any better. Yeah. Well, that's a fantastic way to end this. So, Emily and Brianna and Morgan, I want to thank you guys for being here.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
We'll be here for
Now
episode two.
you want to come back.
Yeah.
Golly. We'll schedule next week sometime. Well, I like I said, I'm sure that as soon as you're done, you'll think of something. Oh, we should have talked about this,
Right,
but that we can do another one.
Yeah.
And like I said, we are very early in the episodes with our podcast, but this one was a really good one. Thank you so much. Ha-ho!
Thank you.
And ha-ho to you guys for joining us here. This, again, was Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.